I believe. Excellent. So everyone, welcome to the 29th September 2025 Planning Advisory Commission meeting. This is a continuation meeting from the meeting that we paused at the end of September 15th. So we'll continue. So we do have less than 40 people in the room, so we are safe. So roll call.
Will Harris.
I'm here.
Jeff Perry.
Here.
Bob Wilkerson.
Here.
Randy Lewis.
Here.
Isaiah Johnston.
Here.
And Aaron Starka.
Here. Okay. PAC members, any conflict of interest to the discussion at hand tonight? I see no for all six. The next meeting is on 20 October. Please note there is no public comment tonight because this is a continuation meeting. We took public comment at the last meeting. So before we move on, got statement. So RCW 3670-110 deals with removal of commissioners off of boards such as this. It reads, after public hearing, any appointee member of a commission may be removed by the chair of the board, and that would be the Board of County Commissioners, not this board, with the approval of the board for inefficiency, neglect of duty, or malfeasance in office. And malfeasance is dishonesty or legal behavior. I have done none of those. However, on Friday, I had the opportunity to meet with the county administrator and director of community development to discuss PAC roles and open public meeting. I brought Bob Wilkerson, former PAC chair, with me to that meeting. The meeting started as an ambush, requesting my resignation from the PAC not later than tonight. Staff stated they had already discussed the topic with the county deputy prosecuting attorney. No specific charges were stated. However, my questioning attitude towards staff recommendations, combined with my bringing in factual information, was implied as an issue. Bob Wilkerson twice asked about alternatives, such as my stepping down as chair but remaining on the PAC. That option was not acceptable. Rather, the demand for my resignation stood. During my tenure on the PAC, I've worked diligently with other PAC members, the public, and staff to help the PAC provide the Board of Commissioners with realistic and balanced advice for their consideration. My biggest regret is the inability to help our community, especially our youth, deal with affordable housing issue. Frankly, I believe the situation is worse today than it was 20 months ago when we started the comprehensive plan update. I thank the PAC members for their professionalism, friendship, and support for the past couple of years. I did consider opposing the demand to resign and instead seek to continue my service to my community as a member of the PAC. However, the threat of a public hearing could only bring discredit to the PAC and to the county. It would not help provide a more realistic and transparent comprehensive plan. Likewise, if retained, I would largely need to be silent and simply agree with staff recommendations to maintain peace. My resignation is under duress, but it is simpler and helps maintain respect for the PAC. Mariah, here's my letter of resignation. Please make distribution to the addressees, the Board of County Commissioners. The resignation is effective immediately. Mr. Vice, you're the chair. Okay. Mariah, to you. And I am not a member, so I am leaving the table. Okay.
Okay, well, picking up from there. Okay. I guess we left out anybody with conflicts of interest. Kind of an interesting point to cover that with.
Can I comment on that? It's kind of weird. No specific charges. Anyway,
I don't know.
I think he's doing a good job leading the committee. I've had some, well, we have disagreements or whatever, but it's kind of weird. Came out of nowhere, but
yes,
I like to see specific things. You come in and give a vague, some kind of a vague, you're doing a bad job or whatever.
Well,
it seems kind of weird to me.
My concern is just that for just hearing that is that if we're having resignations that way, in other words, we've had a member in the past that had, I can't remember the exact details that came together on it, but basically there was a process we went through. At the time, Bob was chair, and a letter was created. The county reviewed it. The letter was sent to the member. Basically, summing it up, it was like, this approach has to stop, and basically, this is what we expect. So it gave room to the PAC member to say, disagree, go ahead. It gave options. I'm obviously not hearing any of that in this meeting. Or this.
Yeah, it seems like they have objections to whatever he's doing. Here's our objections. You're on probation or whatever. Give them a chance to correct whatever they think has been happening. I don't know. It came out of left field. I'm uncomfortable with how this all went down.
Okay, so, likewise. Anybody else? Any comments?
Let's get after news. They drag us into a meeting, some vague negative labels on us. We want you to quit.
Okay, well, I'll proceed at this point a little further. Let's go further. The next official PAC meeting is October 20th, 2025 at 6 p.m. And then I guess the next one is any committees or staff updates regarding the PAC.
No staff updates.
I'm sorry?
And no staff updates. I just have a recap once we start the rest.
Right. Okay. Our former chair was saying that there's no public comment, but there is still a public comment for items that are not part of this meeting, right?
The agenda has been amended. I don't know if you saw it.
Probably not, because I put,
It was sent out. We removed public comment because of the continuation.
okay. Are the other three, the item 3, which are originally item 3, and the 3 items, are they still on it? As far as the agenda or? Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair. Can I move over there? I'm not used to having my back to the audience. I'm not trying to take Bob's place. I just
Appreciate that.
it's extra so much.
Yeah, go ahead.
Required.
Not that.
Oh, thank you.
Bring your treasures.
Appreciate it. All right, thanks for letting me do that.
No problem.
I'm good.
Okay, going forward then, continuation of the public hearing. We're not taking any more oral testimony, but we do have some written testimony that we need to consider, as well as the 8-page document of items to discuss with regards to the comprehensive plan. So staff update, recap, please.
So the following is a recap of the PAC meetings and the topic for those meetings. So this is recapping the beginning of our progress through the comp plan and when items were taken to the PAC. So in February 2024, SCJ presents GMA checklist and public engagement plan. April 2024, stakeholder interviews and their impact on goals and policies. Climate planning overview of scope. June 2024, periodic update status report and community vision survey presented. August 2024, draft countywide planning policies, and draft housing needs assessment. October 2024, hearing on the countywide planning policies and updated housing needs allocation. November 2024, continued hearing on the CPPs. November 2024, this is the second meeting in November. Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 were presented. December 2024, land use goals and policies were presented, and the GMA checklist on that same chapter. First meeting in January 2025, the vision statement was reviewed, and the land use and goals and policies were also brought forward again. Second meeting in January 2025, economic development chapter and revised introduction chapter. February 2025, parks and trails reference, chapter 7, rural and natural environment chapter, and the checklist, corresponding checklist. Second meeting in February 2025, we had, so this is not a PAC meeting, Allen Community Input Forum. So that was down in the Allen community. And then March 2025, first meeting was a review from the Department of Commerce. They did presentations on the requirements for housing and the climate resiliency sub-element. Second meeting in March 2025, reviewed the housing chapter. Third meeting in 2025 of March, revised economic development chapter. First meeting in April 2025, utilities chapter. Second meeting in April 2025, CPAC progress in chapter 3, land use. May 2025, first meeting, capital facilities and utilities. Second meeting in May 2025, climate resiliency chapter. In June, the TIP CAP had a transportation presentation. The PAC had a health and human services chapter review in June. August 2025, draft comp plan minus transportation element and draft health and human services once again. Then September, TIP CAP had another presentation on the transportation chapter. Then in September, on September 15th, we had our full draft comp plan public hearing on that, and that included the transportation chapter. And here we are again, second meeting September, full draft comp plan. So that is a recap of our meetings regarding the comp plan. We have received public comments on the full draft comprehensive plan in two formats: oral comments presented at the September 15th meeting, and written comments which were accepted through September 17th. All written feedback has been compiled and is available on the project website homepage. Our consultant, SCJ Alliance, brings extensive experience in comprehensive and sub-area planning, land use planning, permitting, and public outreach. Their team includes not only professional planners, but also engineers, landscape architects, and GIS specialists, reflecting a broad range of expertise across sectors. The information, including in the draft, was developed through SCJ's thorough review of state statutes, guidance from the Department of Commerce, industry expertise, including input from FCS Group, case law, and direct requests for information from relevant departments. Throughout this process, staff has worked to communicate the primary purpose of the review, to ensure the plan meets all state requirements outlined in the Revised Code of Washington, and clarified through the Growth Management Act checklist provided by Commerce. We've also emphasized that the top priority for consultants is to deliver a draft that meets or exceeds those statutory requirements. In addition, SCJ has addressed specific requests and questions from both PAC members and the public in cases where necessary information was not available from a responsible agency. It could not be included. Likewise, if a request fell outside the scope of a comprehensive plan, staff documented and noted why it was not incorporated. At this stage, the PAC has the greatest opportunity to influence the comprehensive plan through decisions on policy language. including revisions to existing policies, proposing new policies, or recommending deletion of outdated or undesired ones. Ultimately, it will be the BOCC's responsibility to determine whether these policies are supported through regulatory implementation, additional studies, or further strategic planning. You have before you a list of policy recommendations submitted by 3 members for the September 15th meeting. Additional members may wish to contribute their own suggestions. I recommend we go through the list item by item. Members should provide a clear yes or no to each proposed change. In order to keep the meeting productive, discussion should be concise and focused. You've also received written public comments submitted on the full draft. Staff and SCJ will be providing responses to those comments. However, it is within the PAC's authority to indicate whether they support specific public recommendations as part of your final recommendation. As I stated in the written recap provided last week, the primary purpose of establishing the PAC is to provide a forum for early and ongoing public input into the vision for Mason County prior to the comprehensive plan being considered by the BOCC. As this plan is meant to guide the future of the entire county, it is essential to balance public input, regulatory constraints, and legal mandates. It is the opinion of staff that the comprehensive plan, as prepared for the September 15th, 2025 PAC public hearing, is consistent with the intent of the Growth Management Act and aligns with countywide planning policies. In conclusion, the PAC has 3 potential actions in its final recommendation. Approve the comprehensive plan as presented. Approve the plan with a list of recommended changes, which should be clearly stated for both the PAC and public, or recommend denial of a comprehensive plan. This concludes staff recap and direction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we come to the fun part, which is PAC deliberation. Okay, so, and I take it the deliberation as far as what staff's presenting is this list of the 8 pages, correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay. Okay, the first item is on the list, page 1, is section related to section 2.4.2, page 21. It was a point that I raised with regards, this had to do with the economic issue of, what are the driving forces in the county? And I pointed out that it seemed like we missed a section of people that are not, they're basically retirees. Mm-hmm. Depending on what you want to take, where you want to start with the different numbers, but if you're working with median income per household and things of that nature, technically speaking, retirees bring about, from my calculations, about 19% of the gross revenue into this county as far as people do. I mean, as far as workers or any group. And we have not, we just kind of like ignored that section. We talked about, people work, the retail sections, the services section, different entities in the county, but we seem to kind of like ignore, darn near 1 in 5 sources of where income comes in. So, my thing was basically some portion of this needs to be included in this comp plan.
Is that something where the simple paragraph explaining those numbers could be fitted in? I know, simple paragraph.
Yeah. it just has, in my mind, it has to recognize, if you're recognizing these other components that make up the economic component of the county, then in my mind, I haven't come up with the words, but all I'm saying is I'm identifying a set group, people that are like ignored.
Mhm.
So yes, I mean, in my mind, you're not going to extrapolate. There's too many things to do, but at least it means to acknowledge that a major component of the economic driver of this county is not just the employees that work and what have you. There's 1/5 of it comes from retirees. Any thoughts? And bottom line is they want a yes up and down what? Yes included, no included, or what?
Well, what are we including? What's the text?
So let me go back to staff. Staff, we bring up points. Are you asking us to create text right this moment in time?
So with that particular one, you're wanting them to identify the economic impacts of retirees.
Yeah, no, in other words, well, okay, I'm asking a different question. I know you said this particular one, but just, general, I'm trying to get a feel here how we're going to handle this.
So if there's a particular, okay, the first one's kind of general, I guess.
Yeah.
But if there's particular policies that someone said, change the words of or get rid of, basically looking for if you agree with that. I think in most cases that is the case in here. But I mean, if someone is suggesting a particular policy on a particular topic, yes, I would need the wording to that.
I know when I brought it up, I wasn't suggesting a policy change, but what I was saying is you were describing the economic drivers of this county.
Mm-hmm.
There's an economic driver, a component of the economic. And so to me, it's part of a paragraph, it's part of a support, it's not even really a policy.
Okay.
So there would be wording that you believe should be added to section 242, talking about the retiree, what do you want to call it?
Yeah, I know that's
Stuff.
But yes, in short,
Their economic buying power, or words that affect.
something to that effect.
So, Tyler, you're talking about income to retirees.
Well, again, you have to go look at section 242. But in there, it says, here's what the driving forces, within the county are. And I'm not saying what they're saying is wrong. It's there, and those components also. But we miss 1/5 of it, i.e., the retirees.
I agree with that. It's not just income; it's people moving in, bringing in their 401k money.
Or two, yeah.
People coming up from California, they still.
I'm only and the number I'm using is because I can't get a handle on that. I'm just using what the average Social Security says is the average, for retirees.
They're bringing money and assets.
Right.
I agree with that, but I think if you're going to include that, you should include some of the other stuff I mentioned,
Sure.
because those are big drivers. What's going on here, especially out, rural areas.
We have 36 items, Mr. Chair.
I have the section up there. If there's specific wording you want to add to it, we can do that.
I mean, okay, so take and I'm because of page 8, I'm on page 21, is that 20? That's 20. That's always fun.
I'll just say where paragraph beginning.
It begins economically, Mason County remains reliant on a mix of public sector employment, service-based jobs, and basically retirees.
So this just adding retirees into that sentence. Would that do it for you?
After least or base industries,
Right, right.
comma,
Sure.
retirees and
Yeah, because the next sentence goes public administration, retail. I mean, that's the employment sectors, not. I mean, I mean, yeah. And I'm really only addressing, the retirement benefits side. I'm not trying to address all the other entitlement type things. I'm just saying there's a segment. It's, 20, about 22% of the population here, and it brings in about 19% of the money in the, plus, like you say, for the,
I would personally, I would say in migration, including retirees. In migration is a big contributor to that. That's what I'd say.
That sounds good.
What do you think, Bob? You think, Isaiah?
Is that the specific wording that you'd like to have in there?
I'm just saying, just through that segment of retirees. I hope it's not this bad all the way through.
I think there just needs to
Not-
be.
I'm
Yeah,
not
no.
I'm just thinking about rolling one sentence.
Right, so let's just come up with the exact verbiage that we want to add. I think what you're saying, right after and tourism related jobs, comma, add what it is that you want to say, but what is that specific sentence?
It's basically the pensions and social security income of retirees.
The comma after jobs and then adding
Something to that effect.
I would still say retirees and in migration. That'd be my addition.
just because we do get so many people moving up here.
Oh yeah, a lot of retirees come in and build a house. And it's not just pensions, it's savings and 401k and 403b money, that kind of stuff.
I'm fine. That might get a ration issue.
Yep.
Fine. Yeah. Did you have that? Okay. We'll move on to the second one. That's 36.
I can actually save you from this one. We will be talking about a new zone for those, once we get to doing the forest legacy,
Okay.
we will be addressing that once we get to updating the development regulations.
So is it staff's thinking there'll actually be a separate zoning?
Yes.
Yeah, and I just met with Green Diamond last week, so we're going to call it what it is, and that's Forest Legacy, and then all the parcels will be identified, and we'll have a description of what that means so folks understand. And then we have a breakout of, how many acres, what it was zoned and what it is now.
Right. Okay, so, but you're saying that's in the works.
Well, we do it with the zoning, so it's considered development regulation update. We might be able to craft a little paragraph to put in the land use section, so it gets added into the comp plan, but the actual zoning map will be updated after the comp plan gets
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at least wording wise, text wise, we could get something in this section 3.3.3.
I think we'll have time to do that, yeah, because I just got all the information, so you guys don't have it for you tonight, but I trust that you'll trust Green Diamond's,
Yeah.
Whatever Green Diamond comes up with on what they're comfortable with, or not comfortable, just what the definition is.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, third item, section 3.8. Used to be on page 68. It was policy LU 3.3.
But the annexation of unincorporated islands as they occur shall be encouraged.
I think so, but they always gotta go back and reference what it is. Yeah, I have a question about that. I mean, it seems when I look, there are a couple islands that I see that like in around the city here on the CGA. And the question is, I mean, it's basically people choose, property owners choosing not to be incorporated into the city, right? That's more of a question for staff. Well, in other words, we're saying we're encouraging this, but I mean, the areas that exist are basically people that, at this point in time do not want to be part of the city. Like it's talking about these islands, unincorporated islands, and like I know there's at least 2
Yeah,
that I'm aware of, and it shall be encouraged. But I mean, that's really up to the property owners to agree or not to agree to that, right?
yeah, I'm not familiar with the city's annexation rules, but
Right.
I mean, I could see why the county would encourage that. It's difficult, probably, I don't know, if there's, county road in the middle of the city.
No, I get it.
So we want to encourage that, but you are correct that it's between those residents and the city itself. And that's why it just says the county's encouraging that. We're not going to try to hold on to those as part of county property.
Maybe we should just change it to supportive.
Was there public comment that opposed that?
No, judging by the fact that my initials are there, that wasn't the case. No.
Does having that
So is
language,
there a particular,
Well, I just saw 2 zones, and I thought about, okay, you step back, I have nothing tied to it. Okay, if you live in that, what's the objective you're trying to go for and do? You know what I'm saying? And to me,
so this is an outward perspective
Yeah.
looking at it?
yeah, saying, okay, do we encourage it or just support it? Meaning, if they choose to, fine. If they don't, we're supportive. The county's supportive of doing that, but not trying to push people in a direction. That makes sense.
Well, the rule is, the reason I know this was some talk of annexing Island Lake. Good luck with that. But anyway, you need 60% or 50%, weighted by property value of the people who agree to be annexed, depending on how it goes. But my vibe is, why would we encourage the city to do an annexation? That's up to the city.
Other than property owners that whether they want to or not. If you're talking from a standpoint of the county point of view, I get why, Public Works would want to maintain a road surrounded by, the Shelton City. But I think, in my mind, instead of encouraging, I just say support it if residents choose to.
Is there a specific set of islands that are, like, what exactly is?
I know of one, but there might be more than
Just
that.
2.
But I think supported is a perfectly
I think
good word
supported,
there.
yeah, but and to answer your question, I mean, it's there, encourage development in urban areas to reduce sprawl. I mean, so that we're not just
No,
branching out everywhere and
agree.
keeping it. So that's the purpose and why the county may have that, but I even know.
support
Well, maybe put some words in, presuming it, fulfills some kind of common desire. Because there's going to be annexing. City of Shelton may want to do an annex proposal that we may not want to support. I just don't want the wording to imply that we're going to support any kind of annexation.
I don't think the wording that's in there right now implies that.
What does it say?
It's just the islands.
It says that it shall be encouraged, so that doesn't imply that the county is going to make it happen or push people into doing it, I think.
Okay. Cool.
I'm fine with that. Support.
I'm fine with support.
Yeah, make it-
We support.
All right, make it support.
Okay, we got support. 3 down. Okay, it's section 3.8, page 68, LU 3.5. Doesn't this formula already exist? I mean, is everyone custom every time we do annexations? Is there, I mean, like when we did the one here, off of, by the Olympic College here 2 years ago, 3 years ago? I mean, isn't there already a process in place? It's not like like you have to discuss new formulas or methods for advertising what, the county's own capital facilities and all that kind of thing. I'm sorry, I look at you, but
I'm listening.
maybe feedback staff on that one.
I would think Loretta would know more than I do on this one. We don't have to. So.
Well, we had this, well, like, for example, that 40 acres by Island Lake.
Mhm.
How, I mean, there was a process. I mean, or was there no assets? And maybe there was no assets in that one because there was nothing built there, if I remember correctly.
But I guess I am not aware, Jeff, of any specific formula, like here's the balance sheet. Because that's essentially what it is,
yeah.
right? This is what is on our books. These are our liabilities, these are our assets. City, you're gonna annex that, and you're gonna assume some liabilities and some assets. And then, middle one, how that's negotiated, who assumes what.
I
But
get,
to my knowledge, this has happened so infrequently
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
That a template does not.
okay. I would just change formulas because formulas to me implies there's something already figured out. Just say factors. They just, they'll discuss factors and methods for amortizing. That way it's open, because otherwise formulas tells me there's something already. I mean, when I look at the word formulas, it's already a method.
Yeah, like she says, this happens so infrequently.
Right.
Why handicap ourselves with some kind of hard and fast rules? That's what's in there right now.
So just changing the word formula to factors.
I don't see how that sounds, holds back anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm cool with
Okay, you got the word. Next, policy, okay, 3.8, page 69, LU 5.2. And this is one, Randy, you raised.
that. General, I don't like words like required that we do this or that. Because a lot of times, maybe we can't do it. And there's a lot of state, county requirements, but I don't think we should hamstring ourselves with self-imposed requirements.
Okay.
I-
But this one's saying establish an urban growth area large enough to minimize restrictions on the residential land. And I'm assuming that we're talking the same LU 5.2.
I think it may have got misconstrued from 5.1, which says encourage the range of lot sizes, development densities, and housing types, meet the needs of a diverse population, and provide, which is what the comment here is. Can the county provide
Oh,
this?
yeah.
Perhaps encourage. So were you meaning 5.1 or 5.2?
What were you, Randy? Were you thinking those 5.1 or 5.2? I'm sorry, I'm only reading the summary. Because the only thing, if it was 5.2, the only thing I added that was concurrent with capital facilities and utility goals and policies. And that was the only thing I was going to say.
Who are the deciders of what, changing or establishing a growth area? Who are the deciders on that?
So for the city of Shelton, it would be the city and the county working together. For Belfair and Allen, because they're unincorporated cities, it's all county. It would be us. The
Okay,
county
so we
itself.
could.
Yeah. Yep.
Presumably that's the county commissioners that
Yes, and there
the
are,
ultimate vote or whatever.
correct.
Okay.
And then there are growth management rules on how you change your boundaries.
Okay, got it.
And so there's a list of criteria.
So we're talking 5.2 or 5.1?
No.
That was my first question. It's listed as 5.2, but since it's the point you raised. If it was 5.2, the only thing I would say, reading it, thinking it through capital facilities and everything else, all I would add to it is saying that it's concurrent with capital facilities and utility goals and policies. In other words, you need it large enough, but it's not, you can't have it. What I'm trying to say is you got to be able to provide the capital facilities, i.e. sewer, water, power, things like that to it. If you can't do that, that will have to restrict it. But all I'm saying is I'm not going to that length. I'm just saying taking policy 5.2 pretty much as it is, but adding that it's concurrent with capital facilities and utility goals and policies. That's all I would do for 5.2.
Well, the paragraph starts out with encourage, and then you want to change the word provide, go to encourage, so you use the word encourage twice within the same sentence.
Well, if I
Is
was
that
not
what you want?
objecting to the word provide, I'd probably talking about 5.3.
Well, essentially. Okay.
Cool.
Because provide is on the other in 5.2 or 5.1.
5.1 does have to provide.
So for 5.3, I would replace provide with encourage.
Okay, looking at it explicitly, do you have a problem then with 5.3? Or is it just because it was there? I'm just wondering if you read that, trigger you to say, that's not quite right. What is it that's?
It's not us to provide these things, isn't it? To developers or
No,
whatever.
but you have to kind of take on that hat, so to speak, going.
Because it's
Yeah, what now? I'm sorry.
It's because we're talking about our aspirations and things that maybe if you want to change the wording, you could say seek to provide. So it doesn't come across like a guarantee. Is that what you're worried about?
Plus, all this county can do is incentivize. We don't provide. If they're talking about developments, housing, whatever.
I think
We don't create those. That's up to developers or
I
whatever.
agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it is 5.3 that you are saying.
Oh, yeah.
Encourage clustering plan development.
Okay.
I wouldn't say provide is bullet. It doesn't have the word provide.
No. 5.4.
Okay. So are we supportive of what's being said for 5.3?
Okay with that.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
I would agree.
I would make the same change in 5.4.
That then becomes a little bit of an issue. You just can't swap a word out.
Just for context, the word provide in this sense provide the development regulations. So we do have the provisions for clustering plan unit development and then other innovative techniques. This could be a variety of things so that, but it's in the providing the land use development code, not the thing itself.
Well, maybe we should say provide regulations. Make it more clear.
Yeah.
Development regulations.
Yeah. Or provide more, yeah.
Oh, I do the same. Go to work. So we changed 5.3, 5.4. What are we doing? For sure.
I would personally provide. I would put in regulations
Just so it's specific
in
to
both cases. So just leave them provided implies that we're doing the provider, which we're not.
I think, okay, I'm just gonna say, so regulations is kind of counterintuitive to provisions. So, yeah, so I'm just thinking, probably not, I don't agree with
Well, you got provided
regulations.
again, second time in the same sentence.
What about allow for?
I can support that.
I like that, yeah, I like that.
Fine.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so wasn't 5 to
Next.
Pick a number.
Oregon Night, same chapter, section is 3.8, page 70, LU 6, and I hit dot X. And I was saying just too general. Just a second. Oh, that's what I was doing. So my this is an issue I raised. I mean, the whole goal of 6, I don't have a problem with it, but policies to ensure that just seem too specific to. It just says protection of critical areas. It doesn't say, are we talking about recharge areas? Are we talking, but are we just saying all critical areas?
Critical, yes, all critical areas
Yeah,
defined
no.
by the RCW.
You're right. I'm asking kind of the PAC here, members of PAC. You know, do we? I mean, it seems like it needs to be a little bit more specific. Maybe not, but I just put it's too general.
Specific to what?
Well, I'm just saying, like, are we just saying all critical areas?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether it's, you know, recharge areas or.
Where's the definition for what a critical area is?
In the RCW.
It's in the RCW,
Yeah.
so it's already defined
Yeah.
what it is. That's the sort of context that you would have next to you if you were investigating this. Okay, so I don't think that needs to be changed.
Any reason why I didn't just include the RCW and be done with it?
Well, I think it's a reference point, so I mean, like you just said, that's
Yeah.
your definition, that's
Okay.
going to be cross-referenced, so I don't think that it would be misconstrued if you were doing that.
I'm always a kind of a link guy. Oh, you know, things, you get the words, fine, but then if there's a, you know, something to link to, i.e., an RCW or even just general, the RCWs, but
I think if we did that route, that would make so much work and add so much to this that it would be impractical.
doesn't practical.
Oh, yes, it is.
You like to dive into the weeds.
Okay,
I think I would leave it as
that's the numbers.
I would leave it as it is.
Leave it.
What are you around it?
I'm okay.
I disagree, but I'm outvoted, so. We're moving ahead. Okay. The reword of policy H1, not 1, H3.
it. So,
Yeah, the 4 with the numbers. But the things have been added. One point I'd like to make to staff on this. It is a pain to work with a document that keeps either increasing or decreasing different things and causing us different pages.
I mean, when you modify it, a page will.
I know, but there's a way to do that. At least note it so they know you're not Jason, you know what?
Board actions.
So anyway, each one's that one. Do the changing the phrasing to what Will had. I don't see a problem with that from what it is.
I don't have a problem with his modification.
I don't have a problem with that.
Fine on that.
What about you, Randy?
I'm okay with it.
As is or with the modification?
The modification.
Yeah, Will's one modification.
I like the modification.
Okay. I think. Yeah. That's fine.
So we got that right, Steph?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so each policy, each one. What we tried from. Good.
Stevie's gotten that there.
Mm-hmm.
What about as part of a plan to avoid or prevent the growth of the homeless population and to reduce existing homelessness?
Can you say that again?
Um,
You just, yeah.
No, say it just like you said before.
What your modification was?
as part of a plan to avoid or prevent growth of the homeless population and reduce existing homelessness, because that isn't going to solve homelessness, but it is
Right.
part of the picture.
I would first replace the word avoid with reduce.
I do like that.
Okay.
So we just saying the one word in there.
No, actually, that's what we're saying, that's what we just put in.
Yeah,
After,
Where?
After strategies for homeless people, as part of a plan to reduce growth of the homeless population and reduce existing homelessness.
that sounds good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Okay, section 4.4, which is the old page 83. Seeing 7 left. 4.4. 6. Obviously. I understand the. Yes, I was wondering about this. I understand the comments made by SCJ as far as scale and all that.
Mhm.
My concern is that he's listening to. I realize Seattle's a different scale. Yeah, you have no issue at all. It just, forever, not forever, for a long time. The idea of creating zones is to know what's going to happen in the zone, and now it seems like we're encouraging things, even though it might be cheaper homes, but we're encouraging some people to be able to live in a commercial, which is one level, industrial, which is another level, which if it's single or couple or kids, fine. But if you start having kids and in that environment, then I get concerned that allowing it.
So my understanding of mixed use is that you can't just have it residential.
Right.
The property has to have a commercial element to it.
Yeah.
And so if you're seeking to provide for more housing. Somebody could have a business while also still have their home upstairs. They're
Right.
not gonna just have a house.
But then are we just saying owners of the property then, that versus, trying to,
I mean, we can't put that
yeah,
restriction on people, but I do think that the statement there is just encouraging mixed use development. I personally don't see why we wouldn't.
Mhm.
I'm not hot for it, but I'm just seeing, again, I'm looking at a different scale. I realize that, but I'm just watching what they're arguing and the things that they're going through. And, just like, not that Shelton or Mission County's there, but it's like, time goes on, things, what seemed okay now, all of a sudden, the unintended consequence later on. And, that's the only reason I hesitate to even say it, but if commission is fine with it, I've said my 2 bits. Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Prefer to keep it as it is.
Yeah, I think I'd like to keep it as it is.
I think,
Makes sense.
yeah, I think the risk you're talking about is pretty low for us.
Right. I know what you're saying, but things change.
No, that's good.
Anyway, okay,
There is a risk you were concerned about. So
okay. Moving on. Still 4.4 H19. Okay, whoops. I see two different things here, couple different things. One, we're talking about all housing development. Is that like all permits or actually development stuff? Where it says developments there, are we talking about all permits for any housing, or are we talking about, flats of 10, 100 or whatever?
It's all housing development. I mean, in our department, we just,
But,
we're in constant process improvement, but yeah, we don't treat applications differently.
well, the issue is processing permits, okay? And I maintain right now, at least right now, and I don't have a problem having if it's just housing, but the process of getting a permit for a single house, I think the county has down, at least my experience and watching others, as long as people have their paperwork together and what have you, that part's pretty efficient. My concern is when a plat's brought in, that seems to be a little bit more of a wild card.
We're continuing to work on that. We just got our second plat in Belfair.
Right.
So we're under, we just had our first preliminary plat reviews. One of 2 that we've had in literally 2 decades. So.
Oh, okay, back to my question. You're saying this is all housing, and all I'm saying is, at least barriers wise, to me, that's more of the individual development. I mean, individual homes being built, not flats.
Well, I mean, we just got our second plat.
No, I get.
Minus Lakeland, we have that.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I mean, it says support timely and efficient processing of all housing development applications. So, I mean, that's already referencing anybody that puts in an application. It does say with a continued focus on removing barriers for low income housing projects. And I don't, do you have a problem with that section or?
Is that wording elsewhere in the comp plan talking about in general for everybody efficient and timely permits and all that?
I'm sorry.
That would probably, be in this section.
I mean, I could at least explain what all is. I mean, it seems simple right now, all is all, but I just want to make sure there isn't a difference, and all we're saying is that whether it's a plat or it's a individual home, we're doing the same thing across the board. That's what we're trying to say.
Mhm.
Fine, then let's see here. What was the notes? I don't, other than, I don't see anything dealing with presidential treatment with this one.
No,
No,
Anybody?
Good.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
I think 1.9 is all right.
We'll leave. Next is policy H1.11. That's one you brought up, Randy.
What's with all these RLs?
That's you.
Where did that come from? Oh, oh, um, maybe it's already covered generally, but in my opinion, upfront fees, how you handle that can incentivize providing housing. But
But you wouldn't say fees related to regulatory barriers.
yeah, I guess the upfront fees and charges could be part of regulatory barriers.
I think so.
I don't know. I wouldn't mind a crusade if we left it as it was.
Others? Leave?
Yeah.
Good. We're leaving H1.11 as is. H2.1 there. Your favorite one, I can tell. It's 2.1, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what fair means. It probably means different things to different people.
The only thing I came up with is just balance. Yeah, balanced. That would be the only change I would do. If you change the word, go balanced.
Maybe consistent. I don't know.
Yes, that's.
Well, there is consistency there already.
Oh, yeah.
I think to me it means reasonable or attainable. Like if you're developing, you don't have to do something crazy.
I would take out fair. I mean, I get where they're coming from. You don't want to have arbitrary rules that preclude things for the unfortunate that maybe you want to mitigate.
So you just flatly remove the word there.
I don't know. Again, I wouldn't mount a crusade, but I think it's too ambiguous. And what does it really mean?
The term fair comes up all over the place, like in the Fair Labor Standards Act. Okay,
But then
that's the term that's
I'm presuming I have to define what they mean by fair.
probably.
Yeah.
So
You know,
Maybe.
keeping or removing?
I think keep for me.
I think keep.
I'm outvoted. Me and Jeff keep getting outvoted tonight.
Yep, it keep. So we're keeping that for H2.1.
No.
Okay, policies H2.2 and 3 and 4 for that matter. Oh, that you say seem to be redundant.
Regulatory one, energy efficiency conservation one, and one that deals more with ecosystems and regulations in sensitive areas. Like those could be lumped into a single policy, but I also see the sense in keeping them separated.
Well, here's the thing is that like H.3 encourage development of housing, and then 2.4 is review and update, and then you're separate and distinct activities.
I think what I was thinking at the time,
But I can see-
2.2
I can see where you're coming from.
2.2 talks about environmental environmental quality. And then you get more granular in the next two. So is that kind of redundant? Because you're already saying, yeah, you want environmental quality. And the things underneath are things you're talking about to create an environmental.
So
That's where I was coming
so what you're more or less saying is H 2.2 and then 2.3 and 2.4, they're really sub bullets. So
from. That's what I see.
something like that.
That's what I think. But I mean, those are all good things, but there's environmental experts in the room on that. There's probably a lot of other things too that you could do to help the environment. But I wouldn't want a crusade if you decided.
So on policy structure, is it effective to have a sub-bullet within a policy or make them separate policies? That's a question for staff.
I don't know that it matters. I mean,
Okay.
it looks like most of them don't have a sub.
Right.
I don't know if that's the word versus sub, but I don't know that it would, hurt anything to do so. If that makes sense.
I get it.
We're all agreed the words are good. Just how we portray them.
Well, that's what I said. Are they redundant since we've already said environmental quality? I don't know.
There's certainly no harm in redundancy.
I didn't quite get what you said.
There's no harm in redundancy.
That's true. No, I'm not arguing that.
Okay, so we're gonna leave these as is.
Yeah.
All right, keep it as it is.
Are we out of the RL?
No.
No, one more.
Let's do that.
What was I thinking?
H3.
Oh.
There's another instance where it's requirements as determined by the RCW.
Not sure we got
Right now.
Or you want to change
I agree that that's an awkward goal.
about needs.
Yeah.
The needs, yeah.
the problem I was having a little bit with it was the fact that do we stepping back, do we adequately understand, residents' needs?
How high is that?
Right.
I mean, what do you mean by requirements? I mean, I'm not the expert. On top of my head, you want people to have shelter and warm and dry place to live, to eat, all that kind of stuff. That's why I mentioned it. What do you mean by requirements? I don't know. Maybe it's
It's an
obvious.
odd word for that location. I mean, you could say needs, requirements. It's kind of the same thing, but requirements sounds more. I mean, I agree with you. That's why I think needs is more generalized. And yeah, how high is that? We'll never answer that, but it's just the general support of all the different housing types to meet people's
We've
needs.
had plenty of discussion about that sort of thing too.
Right.
What about changing requirements to needs?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Needs?
Yeah.
We're going for needs.
All right. All right.
H3 and 4 look different from what. I didn't get a chance to pull this together, but when I looked at the goals H3 and H4, they looked different than what we originally approved when we did the housing. Am I missing something or missed something?
I do not know.
Yeah. Hold on one second, see if I can. without specifically having, I cannot fully comment on it. I don't have the other side of the,
You didn't keep the previous version.
well, I got another version, but I just can't pull it all together. So I'm gonna have to let it pass at this point because I have one question, as a general question that's for staff. You know, like in providing housing needs, what have you. Take Lakeland Village, they have different covenances and what have you in the different divisions. In an extreme case, can the county regulate what's going to go in there then differently than what the covenants say? Question mark.
I mean, we have our zoning and
Right.
the covenants cannot allow something the zoning wouldn't,
Okay.
but the covenants can be more restrictive or what have you. We don't get involved in that. Are you,
Okay.
do you have a specific
No,
example?
that's kind of the
Okay.
general. In other words, I didn't ask it correctly, but the issue that the covenants can be more restrictive, they just can't be less restrictive.
Right.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Can I go back to the requirements just for a second? Instead of needs, can I suggest essential needs? That would be good.
I'm not yet.
No? Okay, move on.
How was that? Nobody said yes, but everybody's
Yeah. Just trying to think of.
So 2.5 section. See the notes from staff. This was doing this one Will brought up with the natural goals and policies are very 100%. I personally never took enough time to go through. The weird part is that rural and natural so much of this county.
Mhm.
That's it seems kind of weird that we got synced down the 4 goals compared to all the other things we run into to this point. It just seems like that's not. It doesn't mean I have more goals. I'm just saying I see the one point is it seems like it's just, short change, for lack of a better word. And I don't have any goal for it, but I'm just.
I was looking at that section the other day, and I was cross-referencing with the countywide planning policies because their chapter 9 and 10 for open space and the environment has a lot in common with what this chapter is supposed to be. And certainly I feel like some of the sections in chapter 9 and 10 of that could be included in this.
We're a bit late on do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I see the staff's response. I don't have a response to your response other than to say, yeah, okay, next.
I will not, we could still transfer policies from one chapter to another if it seems like it would fit in better.
I'm just saying, I don't know what they would be, but I'm just saying it seems, since rural and natural environment, such, a large component and of the county, that it would seem like it would have more than 4 goals. That's all. Considering when you look at everything else we've gone through.
Mhm.
Okay, well, at this point, we don't have anything new, right? But
Not that's prepared.
Right.
There's the policies that are in the countywide planning policies with the open space policies, which is chapter 9, and the
Right.
environmental policies, which are chapter 10. Could we bring that up?
Which Which one?
The countywide planning policies. Certainly, at least to beef up that section, policies from chapter 9 and 10 of the countywide planning policies could be included.
So this is the adopted version. And you want to go to 9?
Yeah, 9 and 10.
9 and 10.
It was fun.
So, not saying like, almost like Lou, that first paragraph, 9, so something of that nature should be in here.
Either that or some of the bullets in the particular, but the open paragraph, I think, let's do a. The two bullets could just be copy and pasted over, nothing number changed.
Personally, I'd have to get this back in my head and then go back at this.
Mhm.
I'm not sure I'm ready to done it at
I
the
don't think we have the opportunity.
yeah. I think it's safe to say we're concerned that there isn't more, but at the same time, we at least got policy. And we're just gonna have to run with policy for the time being until,
I'd agree with you though.
pardon me?
I'd agree with you though, but I think that
The opportunity has passed. Is that the vibe?
You could also make like when you get to the point that if you make a recommendation, you could recommend to incorporate some of the countywide planning policies on open space or environment, sections on the environment. So you could make that recommendation if it is important to you guys.
without being specific on all the verbiage.
Yeah, I mean, it would be whatever has already been approved anyway, so.
Okay.
Yeah, but what do you want to be specific as to what you want to be copy and pasted? You know, from this section to element 7.
When you make a I mean, it's up to you guys whether you want it.
Yeah, in our recommendation, we would have to be specific, wouldn't we?
At this point, yes, you would have to be, you want you'd have to be specific that you want certain sections incorporated into the comp plan.
But you don't, I mean, the alternative is you could just alert to the board that this is an area that's lacking, and they can address staff and for us to do, you know, what, and bring forward suggestions to them, which then they would either agree or disagree on keeping them in.
Well,
So you wouldn't have to go through the effort unless you had specific ones you wanted. That's certainly fine. But if you didn't, like Jeff, you know, mentioned, you didn't know if they had the capacity right now to kind of deal with that, so you could just make that general statement to the board to consider adding policies that seem lacking in this chapter.
I'm not sure I want to say all, but at least some.
at least some of them, yeah. I think that we could use the chapters 9 and 10 here to bolster.
Is there a way that staff could keep track of that point? That we
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
Okay. As long as we got a mechanism, because otherwise I can't
Yeah, yeah.
track this many different angles of going things. So we're going to leave it, if I understand, as is.
With the
With
recommendation.
a recommendation for the board to look at it.
Include more elements.
Yeah.
from-
Right.
From the countywide planning policies.
Okay. Okay. Item 8. That's the only thing that's been mentioned. Will mentioned about adding an action item to review and update this, you know, by a certain date. I think he's, you know, I'm only going after what I think he was saying, is that there was a plan put together. It's not fully happening, and that it needs to be readdressed and, you know, scoped out financially as well as, you know, tasks, you know, major tasks.
Okay.
Is that some, Gail, is that something we could also make a recommendation that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you mean scope out financially?
There was a, how did I say it? And I'm putting words in his mouth because I didn't write it. Okay. But I'm thinking that it's coming across when we did capital facilities, there was a, it wasn't really totally scoped out as a capacity of the county to do certain things. In other words, from the standpoint is, yeah, we were starting to identify costs, but we couldn't.
It's like buying that property in Mason Lake.
Right.
It wasn't included.
But then the things come.
Well, in my opinion, I expressed it last time. This is an aspirational document, in my opinion. It's not a quantitative document. To do a proper quantitative document, we would have to do financial projections for everything. Can we afford it? No, that's not our job. If we aspire to something, put it in. It's not our job to determine if it's financially feasible or not. That's up to the Board of Commissioners. They're the ones that set priority. They're the ones that decide. You don't know what's going to happen. What technology is going to go on.
Well, the thing is, right now, our element 8 says go see the pros update when it's done.
Go through what now?
Basically, go see the pros when it's updated. This is just a placeholder.
I have an issue there. So then why do you think we work at capital facilities? Why do we review that?
Here we go. Diving in the weeds.
Well, those are specific things that, and I don't know much about.
No, that's fine. That's fair. And I'm not trying to put you. I am putting you.
When we do capital facilities, you throw. I mean, you had pages of things.
Yes.
Did you throw anything out? Because well, maybe we can't afford it. No, you just assign numbers to it, which is fine. That's just my personal opinion. In general, don't throw out something that maybe we aspire to because you think, and you don't know for certain, but because you think it might not be financially feasible. When you look at chip cap stuff, I saw a lot of numbers in there like, oh, you know, so many thousands, which tells me that's just your best estimate at this point. That's just my opinion. Don't throw it out because of that. Throw it out if you don't think we should aspire to.
So back to this, which was the reference to the comp plan.
Is there a specific timeline to review the cost?
No, it was just
Set forward?
updated in 2022, so I don't know what
There's no like specific like 5-year update or anything like that.
not that I'm aware of, they have, like, as in like a state requirement.
Yeah, or just anything that's been followed or anything. I guess I'm wondering why when it
It's
was
not
updated
what-
a few years ago, it's being suggested to review it like next year.
Yeah, I don't know what the desire is for that being updated by next year.
I can't answer that either.
I think I would just leave it out.
I think I'm leaning in that direction as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't answer for him, so. Anybody else, any other? Okay. Moving on. 10.8. Oh, so I guess we're print the whole thing. So, so, one thing, 1 and 10, I could kind of read into this is that if we already have the reg, why are we having to write it again, so to speak, into the comp plan? In other words, like, like how well it's constructed or it's permitted or any of that kind of thing. And I know, like, it says here that ecology permits the wells. Well, is that true that way? Because when I did a well, at least a private well, it was not ecology. Yes, they were the keeper of the records, but it wasn't until I went to water rights that ecology started coming in. Yes? You have a problem?
So permit exempt wells, meaning that you are exempt from the water right.
Right.
You have the ability to drill that well
Yeah.
and not get anything from ecology. What the county does, what EH is, I guess they like contract with Department of Ecology.
Oh,
To like ensure that it's done properly, the sealing, what have you. And the EH does make sure that the well is tested
yeah, right,
prior to the connection,
right.
but it isn't county regulations that dictate whether or not you drill that well.
Okay, so then the fact that it's put in, so that's like that's the reason we're including it as an item in the.
Yeah, so kind of, doing that,
The linkage,
just kind of,
linking the two different events, so to speak. Linking the event with the chapter.
yeah, what is the overall goal here?
I think it kind of fits in there nicely with goal C4 about protecting and preserving water quality, even if it is a bit redundant. I do think it's nice that it's there.
I mean, obviously some of his answers, his points where the county would consider not allowing a well to go in a particular place for a lot of different reasons. You know, it's answering some of his questions that were.
Mhm.
So any thoughts, anybody?
I think that maybe we'll just say if you were going to change something there, adhere to what well standards. I mean, maybe just reference like,
Well, construction standards.
well, yeah, that's what I mean. But if you're writing you are making a point to have that in there. I mean, is it kind of, I don't know.
Any thoughts?
Well, unless Will somehow psychically tells us what the issues are.
I think he should have resigned immediately, effective after the meeting.
We're here with a bunch of things he wrote, but not him.
Well, we've come through it. Most of them have gotten through it, so.
I would leave it. I don't see any harm to it.
I would agree.
You want to talk? No, it's fine.
I'll recognize.
The chair.
I'm gonna take off my public work app and put on my private app. So you know something about it, and also the history. So there was a time when ecology was the sole permitter of well permits. And in some cases, some jurisdictions elected to have their own permitting process and said, look, you can't be everywhere, you can't inspect, you can't be out doing these things. So we will have our own permit process. Mason County was one of those counties that elected to do that. I'm guessing this policy might have been written at a time when that was still occurring. And under current our current world, ecology has more gone towards the system of it's a local issue. You locally permit, you locally inspect for a variety. So that helps at all about the evolution of how this policy will come about, whether or not it's a useful policy. But counties basically do their own inspections and permitting.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
And I'd agree with leaving.
But the state has the overall construction requirements and standards.
Thank you. Okay. On to 10A, another policy, this is a new policy discussed. We just have this X61. Yes.
What I have to say about that is that carbon reduction policies aren't a requirement of the comp plan, I don't think. Are they, staff?
Not to this one.
And I think that this gets a little bit way too much into the weeds. Yeah.
We're just not there yet.
No.
You want to take us there?
I do not want to take this. No, I'm just saying we are not there. Yeah.
I would agree with just eliminating that.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at with that.
Not putting it in.
Not putting that in.
Right. Are you ready?
I'm okay with that.
Okay. So there won't be a new policy. Okay.
With this next one, I looked up these numbers that Will was drawing from, and it turns out that that statistic for waste and bureaucracy, or money being spent on bureaucracy, that was only accounting for 5.4% of the total budget allocated from the appropriated from the carbon credit thing, and the actual budget for that for the 2025 to 2027 biennial fiscal term was 3.19 billion, and the vast majority of that did go to actionable things. And so the statistic that he got, I thought was a little bit misleading. And so I would not support the adoption of that policy. And
I have no way to debate it.
Yeah,
54% of Mason County voters also voted to approve the CCA with the last election. And this would kind of override what the people voted for also.
But, from the, that election they had,
Yeah.
54%.
Yeah.
And I don't know that, but if you looked it up, now accept that until proven wrong. Of that.
so
So,
just delete.
Yeah.
so basically on the policy.
Yeah.
This one through the, again, 10.8, took pages, at least originally pages 224, 2231.
Mhm.
Whereas that's being requested to remove most, if not all, ensure, like fully committed words, rule C1, C2.
Does the wording ensure really imply that it is a guarantee that it will happen when that word occurs in the comprehensive plan?
I don't know, just like. Sounds like it, but it's only sounds. Okay, so C1, C2.
Because it could just be encourage the protection and restoration of streams, rivers, and estuaries, etc.
Well, stuff like will and shall versus may.
So I do have to ensure protection. We're required by the state to protect streams, these zones, wetlands, lakes, floodplains. So we're required, and we already do that through regulations. So that's why we kept ensure the protection.
And then encourage is something, because we don't have anything in our regs that require restoration, or that the county does restoration, not that we don't. There are certain restoration projects.
Okay, so those words are different for a reason. Okay. In that case, at least with that one example, I think that's fine as it is. We'll see too another example where there's a legal requirement there.
Correct.
Okay, so then we should probably keep that one the way it is. Encourage.
I can see on C5, but trying to ensure that one might be
Or C5.
your problem. So does the county have regulations that would be able to ensure, I mean, that local timber, agriculture, aquaculture, fisheries, and local food industries are resilient to impacts of extreme weather?
No.
No.
That'd be one verse. Reword it a little bit to not use ensure. I do like what it's saying there, but I also understand it's not guaranteeing something that can't be guaranteed.
Actually, in the wording, encourage is probably a good one for right there.
Hey, I'm uncomfortable with the word sure for that one.
I'm just curious what you're encouraging.
Well, obviously, these local thingy used to be resilient to the impacts of extreme weather and other natural hazards. I mean, if the county doesn't have the resources, doesn't have the money, all they can do is encourage.
But keeping something in there, changing the wording, encourage doesn't change the, having that in there could, make opportunities for funding for help later on.
Mm-hmm.
So change ensure to encourage, and then fix the grammar.
What do you think, guys?
That's how I go. Yeah. And a lot of those are private
Yeah,
entities.
yeah.
They have to take care of all that themselves and send it to us.
So staff heard that we're good for C5 on encourage, changing that to encourage.
Yeah. That one that should be changed to encourage.
Hold on 1 second. We're talking on 6.
Yeah, C6.
Yeah. There's no way the county can share this one. This one might be my reference.
So encourage the local economy to be resilient.
Yeah, local economy is not just the county, it's everything.
Yeah, but they're limited to the confines of the county.
Favorite word.
I personally go to change the word to encourage.
That'd be all right with that.
Mm-hmm.
Reference can't share. I guess encourage is a compromise at this point on C.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With C7, that goes into more of a legal requirement, right?
It wasn't, in the item, it skipped to C, from C6 to C8. Wasn't, nothing was brought up on C7.
Okay.
That's interesting one.
Seek to protect versus protect. Isn't it an RCW that this does need to prioritize overburdened communities so they don't have disproportionate health impacts? Yeah.
Correct.
So we should keep that as protect then.
But we do have an RC, you're saying we do have statutes for.
How are we gonna do that?
And what's running through my mind is how,
Mm-hmm.
looking at the policies. I'm a little creepy on that one. I'm not happy with it, and I don't have an answer.
Fine leaving that one.
We go. Randy,
I'm sorry?
are we leaving 8
I think so.
text?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm not happy with it, but I don't have an answer to it, so. C10?
You know what?
Was Will's suggestion with C10 to have it say work towards ensuring that energy and waste infrastructure or
Considering, those are all private or publicly owned. The county can ask all they want, or insure all they want, but it's gonna happen.
I think what's being laid here is like, work towards.
I think he's got a point there.
okay.
So removing the ensure that, basically beginning,
Work towards.
work towards, and then lay out the rest stance.
Yeah.
All right.
You good? How about you guys?
I'm fine.
Andy?
I'm not sure I would take out the phrase worsened by climate change. You know, extreme weather and other natural hazards to mitigate that. Doesn't matter how it got caused. Or something really bad happened, but it's not climate change, so we go.
So,
No, goal C10 says
So what if
climate change, we can't mitigate that particular thing.
So what if it's changed to quickly from the impacts of all extreme weather and other natural hazards?
Whatever the cause.
Mine, Rainier, Torque off.
So we're saying two things here with C10. One, add the work towards at the beginning, and then down in the guts of it, what are we saying remove or add?
Recover quickly from the impacts of all extreme weather and other natural hazards.
Period. Put a
Yeah.
period there.
Yeah.
Okay, there.
I think that's all right.
Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now somehow we go back to C1. How's that possible on the page 225? Get fine.
Oh, fair enough. We're gonna go a couple more.
Hold on.
Where am I going?
He's lost.
So
C1.
we're going back to go C1.
I think we kind of progressed.
Yeah, this is one of those things where we
Oh,
don't.
this is me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This goes back to the conversation where we don't know what future opportunities might present themselves.
Yeah, well. See, to me, all things are identifiable.
This is the comp plan now.
Likewise, I haven't seen anything that's not identifiable except UFOs.
I'd like it if those were identified.
So, rather. My only issue is that we work at creating costs for capital facilities. And while this is not capital facility, environmental, what have you, it seems like it falls under the same approach to identifying, what's most critical, fixing what's most critical, because you're most likely you're not going to be able to fix. Oh, it's like roads.
Mhm.
We identify the roads and give a priority to the roads which are going to be focused on or not, because the budget's only so large for the roads. I guess that's my issue is that.
It's not itemized.
Huh?
It's not itemized.
Well, I mean, I'm not asking that it all be itemized right now, but in my mind, the goal should be to start to itemize the things. I don't doubt that there are projects we should start, but I'd like to, just like the roads. I want to fix the roads that first having the biggest problem or the biggest impact, to people getting around. Likewise with the climate related items, the issues of whatever ecosystem needs is really causing us the most fit, or most at risk,
Mhm.
and not accidentally missing it and going after something else. That's all.
I mean, can you ensure the protection of, like you're saying, every possible thing that might
No,
happen?
no, no. But all I was saying is, identify and prioritize.
Mhm.
Added into this. I'm not eliminating anything.
Would that go beyond the minimum standards that we're expected to work within this chapter?
No, it's not.
I was wondering how one could do all that.
Somebody has an idea behind it.
I think to change this to go along with what you're saying would be like multiple work sessions.
Well, I mean, do we even have to do it? I mean, all I'm really saying is part of the process, part of the goal is to start itemizing. Doesn't mean you have to have everything figured out. We don't have all the roads figured out.
So do you want to add a policy that says to,
This is the goal.
I'm not the goal.
okay,
And this is our gee whiz, we want to do this sort of thing. But,
I don't say that we shouldn't do this. What I'm really saying is, begin the process of identifying and prioritizing, the protection and, restoration, da 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 da.
so you're saying which get a list of all the streams and find out which ones are most vulnerable?
And you don't have to get all the streams. Start getting a list.
Okay.
Say you don't get half the streams, so you don't get half the limit. That's instead of just, to me, it's almost like it's ambiguous to what we're trying to solve by this goal. It's not measurable. I've always been taught that's another thing, and I've struggled with the goals that we've set here. To me, goals are always, or objectives are always measurable. And with that, it's like all wetlands, it's all lakes. Well, I mean,
Is that also because this is the first time? Is this the first time the Mason County has done the climate resilience chapter?
Yeah.
So is that just because there's a lot more work to be done on it because it is new?
yeah, I might feeling.
Okay.
Prioritizing doesn't mean you have to do alpha and omega in my mind. You can say, I'm gonna spend one day, all the lakes, or all, so I'll do it through the reviews of things and begin the process. All I'm saying is we should add, in my opinion, to the goal is, add that we should, identify, itemize, whatever you want to call it, and prioritize
So it's more of a plan.
to help build,
Yeah.
to fix these things.
I agree with that.
So how can we fit that idea into here?
I'm saying remove the protection, or maybe even leave protection. Hold on one second.
or you could just say encourage the restoration and protection of streams. And it's wordsmithing, but
No, but I'm saying where it says ensure. I mean, all I'm saying is basically identify and prioritize the protection and, whatever.
I mean, you see the word ensure, it's in your mind, it's
Yeah,
gotta do.
I know. That's what I'm trying to get.
Is that a legal requirement? Ensure the protection of all us.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, that is. Yeah. We have to ensure the protection and that we are encouraging the restoration.
But I can think of scenarios where we're unable to ensure protection of different scenarios.
Is it possible to ask staff, like, we would agree that identifying and prioritizing would be something somehow to get into this goal, right?
It could be even just a second sentence.
But I'm just saying the point of identifying and prioritizing, we all agree that somehow we need to have that in there somehow.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Ensure the protection.
No, okay, so then could we just have staff saying, we'll trust that you somehow
Yeah.
figured in how to,
Nah.
Just remember, Mr. Chair, we are a revision away from perfection.
Ensure the protection and encourage the restoration by identifying and prioritizing. It needs to go somewhere right there.
Okay, I'd agree.
Ensure the protection.
Yes.
Maybe just ensure the protection by identifying, prioritizing. Anybody else?
I think that the second sentence that says itemizing and prioritizing particularly important or vulnerable areas to spearhead maybe.
Could it go at the very end, say by, at the end of the three there, by identifying, prioritizing?
Yeah.
At the very end of that sentence. You know, by identifying, prioritizing the above.
So Jeff, are you asking for something above and beyond what the state, so what would require for different stream types, lakes and shoreline
No,
designation?
no, I don't think so.
It sounds like you are.
I'm just trying to
Could,
get a
could,
handle on
could your idea fit in as a new policy? So that there's a policy that the county should itemize and get a list of priorities for these things?
I don't know that we want to commit ourselves to doing that.
Okay.
What happens if we just leave this alone as is?
I think it's fine as is. You know, we do have the critical areas ordinance, and the development regulations for critical areas, so that's the ensuring the protection, under pretty stringent state law. And then the encourage of restoration, you know, we work with the Mason Conservation District. They do have, you know, priority areas, things like that. And, you know, sometimes, different, conservation easement, like Greater Peninsula Conservation. I butcher their name.
Clean salmon recovery. And
Yeah,
You
so
know, they're
for example,
prioritizing
right now at Bay Shore, they're expanding the, that Bay Shore, the estuary, you know, they're doing that improvement work right there.
So the people doing the work already have the priorities and the lists.
Yeah, right, and so we,
it.
but,
So then we're back to
but
support.
I wouldn't want, it's just something like at our current levels.
Yeah.
You know, staff has a hard time keeping up with state mandates, it would be a really, it would seem unrealistic unless the state mandated this to
Okay,
start
fine.
prioritizing restoration and stuff, things that we're not going to do anyway.
Okay. I do get where you're coming from though.
So, okay, so you still want to leave the word ensure, or you want to support, or what are we saying?
Just leave it alone.
Because
No
it's-
change.
Then they're probably gonna say, so I guess we're leaving C2 or C1 alone, so I had the same thing with C2, so I get the drift that probably gonna be the same boat.
Yeah, I think it's leaving that be.
Yeah, good, fine. Absolutely, C3.
C3.
In my mind, this goal needs to be split up between, at least split up between historical sites and cultural resources and practices and archaeological sites.
You got two different activities there. You got human stuff over here and environmental stuff over there.
Right. Thoughts?
Well, it says encourage.
Oh, encouraging.
I personally don't have a problem with that.
I think it's all right.
I'm just kind of like what people do and what, what's physical. It's like two different goals. There was just stark sides culture, sides. But then practices and different things, that seems like a different thing.
I think it's all part of the human stuff, though.
Okay. Okay, that's the reach. Got it.
That's the reach.
All right. Okay. Any thoughts on this? Policy C, policy 3.6. Yeah, she got 3.2. Seemed like it should be under a different role, not C3. So hold on one second.
Not part of a cultural resource.
I think that's because I'm thinking that we should be splitting, but you're saying because it's other, I don't know.
It seems like these are dealing with the ways that we.
It's native plant nursery, so what's that got to do with cultural? I can see somebody wanting peyote, but.
It probably has little to do with the practices to the impacts of extreme weather and natural hazards if you have.
It may fit under goal C5 instead.
Yeah. I agree with that.
That's viewing natural resources more as commodities, and the other one is more the way we interface with the natural world.
But I can see it also making those industries more resilient by getting, having it.
I personally like the establishment of native plant nursery. As someone who is Native American, we take plants and use them in all sorts of different things. So I think that it fits well with cultural practices. So
Versus the other.
yeah, versus moving it. I think that having a native plant nursery is just fine there.
I agree. I think I like it there in C3.
Used to be a nice one there on Belfair Highway. Oh, it's still there, no?
It does. It is nuts.
Randy?
You're saying you like that bullet?
It's
Yeah,
not-
I do too.
I don't mind the bullet. It's the where
I like the positioning.
Where's that?
I think I prefer it in C3 rather than C5.
any other debate about that. Goodbye. We're leaving it alone.
Or point.
I think this has to do with. Hold on one second here. A statement I made, we could probably leave it there. The issue I was thinking is that somehow it should be tied back to the capital facility or the utilities portion of capital facilities elements. But as far as in other words, what I'm trying to say is that in trying to purvey these services and different things like say water, a lot of this type of thing should be tied back to those utilities. But so I'm fine with leaving that, I guess, there, but I'm kind of saying it needs to really be over here too. In other words, it's one thing to have a facility that provides water, but it's another thing to start making, more drought and heat issue, deal with those kind of issues and other hazards. This is one of those, I remember Julianne talking about, possibly, there's two ways, and we discuss it in here, two different ways. One is to have the climate things all like out here, element 10. The other is to, especially like these kind of things, bring element 10 in behind each of the other elements, like utilities element or facilities or wherever it pertains. But I guess take a discussion at this point. We just leave it as is, where it is.
Well, I'm so comfortable with it. It says associated with climate change. Whether they be floods or droughts, whatever the cause, we need to mitigate it. Perhaps maybe we have a flood and we say, well, that's not due to climate change, but because it's not, we can't do anything about it.
Well, but
I would delete that part of it.
Well, I think we had the other hazards. Oh, you're saying because it has accelerated by.
Scope, floods how many times a year?
Yeah. So what are we saying here?
I think that's all right to leave as it is.
I think I would leave it
I'll vote it again.
as. Reason being, it is in the climate section.
I mean, logically, it doesn't apply. You're not going to, if it's not due to climate change, you can't do anything about it. But
Those hazards that are exacerbated by climate change, just about all of them.
A policy 6.1 already addressed in the plan.
What was 6.1?
The problem is I can't remember where it is, if it is addressed in the plan.
The hazard mitigation plan, I don't think meets the RCW that we need in here as far as addressing overburdened communities. And I think that's why 6.1 is written the way it is.
Like it, but I don't know any solution to it.
I think again, like Kel said, there's no problem with redundancy sometimes.
Yeah,
I would just leave it.
I think I would leave it as well.
Leave it. Ready?
yeah, that's okay.
Sure. Okay, 6.3. I couldn't follow that one.
I couldn't either.
I think you meant 6.4 in that one. Yeah.
Okay, another. Go.
I agree with
I do not agree with the comment either. And the economic development chapter also emphasizes expanding career and education programs, and so it ties in pretty nicely to 6.4.
Mhm.
Change.
Mhm.
No, this, the one that's labeled 6.3 is really 6.4, will not change. Uh, 8.6.
8.6. I wouldn't remove that because keeping this in the comprehensive plan can give grant opportunities to local businesses to make these kinds of expansions to mitigate climate hazards for outdoor workers. And I don't see how it hurts anything to leave it in.
I think what was being brought up is the issue that identifying any group, just all groups. Not particularly outdoor workers.
Outdoor workers were specifically listed as one of the vulnerable populations in another section. And that's why it's specifically listed there. Although it looks like outdoor workers is already, yeah, it looks like it's already been removed.
It's been removed already.
It might be 8.5, because if you look at the policy before that includes outdoor work.
Oh,
Might have been a miss.
oh, yeah.
Okay. I think that's fine.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
And again, it says support knowledge.
Yeah.
C91.
Got the impression that 9.1 and 9.2 would be popular among people.
And there's also no explanation.
Run into, what do you project for sea level rise? 6 inches or 6 feet?
I think part of the issue came up that we don't have a standard.
Is that why he wanted it in another section? He emphasizing mid-century sea level rise.
If you go to the UW, whatever website and use that algorithm to change the numbers to whatever outcome you want. Nobody knows.
Well, that's not true.
Nobody knows.
That nobody has decent models for
I
climate
didn't say
change
that.
impacts.
I didn't say that. I said just plunk in the numbers in what you want.
So who's doing that?
Interested parties. Somebody that
Who?
doesn't want to see sea level rise puts in this. Someone who thinks it's going to be more can put that. And
Who?
to answer your question, I cannot specifically say, but I have used algorithms on a spreadsheet and other proprietary stuff. And what you put in is what you get out, and you can adjust appropriately.
Would we, because we don't have a denominator, I'll call it denominator as far as what's going. Obviously, you want to be able to do this, so we just put in like support the design and setting a new.
I think those are good to leave as they are.
I think that's, yeah.
What do you think, Randy?
I'm not gonna beat a dead horse, but like the
Right.
Scope Valley's been flooded forever. Is that climate change? Well, if the Scope Valley floods, that's gonna affect transportation systems. Like when we were saying, because of climate change. I guess it depends on how you define climate change. I mean, it didn't rain yesterday, it rained today, that's climate change.
That's the weather.
You still need to shoot for a specific target, be able to design
Right.
and retrofit or whatever. What's the number? 6 inch rise or 6 feet rise? It makes a big difference.
I think the overall intention of that is to just have the least impact on shoreline ecological functions and the ecosystems that are nearby. So I don't think design and site new expanded railroads to have least possible adverse effects.
Design for what? Yeah, this is like playing with Play-Doh.
It really isn't though, because there are successful climate models that have accurately predicted where we are at today for the last 30 years by people like Professor Stephen Running, whose biogeochemical models have been extremely successful in predicting where we're going to be at. And that is the sort of thing that people rely on to predict these things so that we can plan for a 6-inch increase in sea level, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's on top, especially when it's on top of a king tide, that's going to be really bad. And so being able to account for these things over the next, 10, 20, 50 years is good. And there are solid numbers. It's certainly malleable. But
Actually, we're shooting for 2025, but anyway.
I think that taking something that is malleable and calling it Play-Doh is mischaracterizing it. And I think that 9.1 and 9.2 are sound. And I think that they would also be popular among the people of Mason County.
And are they gonna pay the taxes to be able to afford?
Is that what we're talking about?
That's what it comes down to, is money, guys. This is all well and good, but what happens when somebody says, hey, you got it done yet? And they hold you accountable because you've now entered a superior court or federal district court. And they say, well, hey, it says right here, you guys bought into it.
Well, what happens when your road washes away because you didn't account for 6 inches? Then you have to rebuild the road.
The road can wash away anytime.
And that's a lot more money.
So let me ask staff.
It does also say new and expanded roads.
Yeah.
Not
We have a situation where we have, I'll just say it, differing opinions, kind of 50-50 split on things. If we don't resolve it, how do we want to address it?
We already have to design and site new and expanded roads and railroads. It's what we already have to do this. It's already a requirement, and there is.
So those are like state laws that require 9.1 and 9.2. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, primarily.
So we don't even need them. If it's already written.
So this provides grant opportunities, and it's good to have this in our visionary document because it shows that we are looking ahead to these problems because this is important.
I'm kind of a self-sufficient guy.
I'm a community guy.
I understand, but self-sufficiency is also part of the community.
How does self-sufficiency tie into that, though? We all use
No,
roads.
I understand, but I'm just saying, one thing my observation in this county, it's always codependent upon grants. A lot of stuff. And we see
Codependent on what? Sorry.
Pardon me?
It's codependent
On grants, on a
on
lot of
grants.
and things are happening federal wise at least, and state wise, it looks like they're getting a little tighter on that. And so I personally would like to see us, there's no way you're gonna get rid of the grants. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying where possible, keep working towards, being able to deal with one's environment.
I think that Mason County being a more poor rural county, cutting off our availability to have greater resources isn't a really good idea for looking ahead, especially with a document that's supposed to be aspirational.
Right? No disagreement, but it's fine.
I like the aspirational part of that.
So
So I'm okay with 1 and 2, 9.1 and 9.2, but
Okay, so we're outvoted. 3-2, it's staying. Okay, got it.
10-1.
so challenge that these accurate models. There's too many moving parts, too complicated. I've seen lists of predictions made for the last 50 years, predicted, basically end of the world this day. None of which happened. So
I
we're
don't
talking
know.
about a projection.
Obviously,
all
the
projections.
algorithm was off.
I don't know any professional climatologist that makes models like that, but I do have a background in biochemistry and botany from the University of Montana, which did have professors like Stephen Running, who's internationally recognized for his work with biogeochemical modeling. The exact sort of thing that we're talking about leads to projections about sea level rise, and it is much firmer than that. No one is 30 years ago was saying that the world was going to end. The climate models showed for the Pacific Northwest anyway that we were going to have long hotter, drier summers, we're gonna have a little bit of sea level rise. The average precipitation is gonna stay the same, concentrated in fewer winter months. And they've largely been extremely accurate. I understand the doubt, and I understand that there's a lot of publications that misrepresent the science that's out there. But that doesn't mean that it's the science that's wrong, it's the people misrepresenting it.
10.1.
And not,
Well,
10.1, please.
the Society of Actuaries long was thrown out.
Randy,
Something
we
is-
need to move on. It's 8:20.
Say that for everybody, not just for me.
Everybody, it's 8:21.
No, but
Happy?
we agree on the point.
Okay,
So that, well, when I say we agree, the committee agreed, meaning 2 of us dissented, but 3
okay,
for
let's
it.
move on.
So 10.1, plan and build.
But the way Muslim people should be the same for everybody.
Okay.
And
And speak up.
Climate average. We had another one of those debatable ones, but
I think it just goes right into the same stuff with 9.1.
right. So we're gonna leave 10.1 as is.
I think so.
I feel like the way I do, very reluctant. The problem that I'm always concerned about is that we state words, and that's great, there's studies, then what's the problem? You know, why are we having any problem? All the studies are there, and all, you're moving ahead. Obviously, something along the way is not happening. You know,
The term you're looking for is accountability.
but that's fine. I mean, I'm not gonna solve the world today.
Not today.
How about tomorrow?
Okay,
11.2.
11.2.
I'd be fine with that addition. Mid-century median sea level rise information.
Yeah, okay, so. I would too. Supported.
I'm okay.
So from about 2, we had the mid-century median sea level rise. Okay,
11.3.
11.3, 11.4. Okay, so he wants to get rid of it.
Why would we get rid of 11.3?
Let me ask you this: are we getting to staff? Are anywhere we're getting this data right now? Are we doing anything in this area right now? I guess it's another way. To say it.
I would need to ask the EOC, like, are they tracking like the fires? How's that tracked? In the different flooding events? Do you have any tracking on any flooding on county roads or?
Oh, yeah, and the requirement for every, our critical bridges, go out, sounding daily. So there's a variety of ways we use it, follow up.
Yeah. I mean, for us in the planning department, we have seen an increase over the last couple of years on, mostly on Hood Canal. I don't know of other places in the Puget Sound, but for people coming in and raising their bulkheads due to the sea level rise, and the storm events during the king tide. So we track it in our permit system, but not specifically for this type of issue. But it's something that, you know, I could see us doing.
You mean it's there, but it's not something.
It's there, but we'd have,
Yeah.
you know, but I could see it's like, we could easily change our permitting system, so it would be easier for us to say, hey, we want to pull how many permits, how many raised bulkheads did we do between, now and the last 10 years. Right now, that would be difficult to go and pull that information because we'd have to hand look at each of the shoreline permits. But if we tag it in a certain way, then we'd easily be able to do a query in the system to go, oh, we had 10 last year, but this year we had 20, and that would, or whatever it is.
Right.
I'm just saying, I think this is a fine policy to have. It just supports that. It doesn't require us to do any additional data collection.
Well, that sounds pretty helpful then.
I like it.
Also, some human map update. Clearly need to-
Exactly. Yeah.
We need enhanced modeling.
Right.
Well, I vote that we keep those then.
Okay,
So
keeping. They were keeping. 11.5.
is it within the scope of the PAC to provide a response standard for free pickup?
Not really.
I think that's all right the way it is.
Do we already, don't we have a method right now how to do this?
Yeah.
So,
Emergency management plan.
So,
response,
what-
how-
so as far as
how we
develop,
coordinate.
okay, so as far as development and implement, we wouldn't need to do, it's already there. So, I think the prefix needs to change on this. Basically, support the expedite management, debris.
Mhm.
That's it. Because they already have a mechanism.
That sounds good.
How about you, Bob?
Sounds good.
I'm okay with it. You shake your head like no, and then you're okay with it. Okay, edit. Do a double take there for a second.
Support strategies to expedite.
I mean, they already have a strategy, so I'm trying to say, those space support the expediting management and management of free. So I was thinking.
Yeah.
So support the expedite management.
I still like the strategy, support strategies to
That's
expedite.
fine. I mean, it's a support thing. It's like, yeah, fine. I can leave a strategy. That's fine. Everybody else okay with that? Hang on. You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Go to Bob? Yeah, we got it. Okay, moving on. Oh. This, so what do we- was under 10.5.6.
I agree that the link to earthquakes in our region is unfounded. But I do like having an earthquake section in there because, we,
No,
We
lots,
in the emergency plan, we get federal funding for projects like retrofitting our old buildings, but keeping it in the comprehensive plan can give us state funding that could be useful, but it's also, to my understanding, kind of an unknown.
I miss,
I'm not.
I'm kind of having trouble here. Like 10.5.6, right?
Yeah.
Or is it? Or is this back into the,
Back into it.
It's on section 10
no, but it's not in the policies, it's in,
on the,
Oh, 10 point, it's back.
Well, policy 10.6 does have the word earthquake in there.
Oh, removing all references. to
so why
earthquake
did I go from 10 to 5?
and the whole section on.
No, we need 10.56.
You're right.
10.55.
Did I miss something or miss the word somewhere? That page? Huh. What page number is that?
I'm looking, hold on.
There might be multiple, so it might just be a question of whether the PAC wants to remove the reference to earthquakes in the climate element. And just leave it to it, because it is discussed in the hazard mitigation plan. So you can recommend to do that, and we could just kind of scour that element, remove the word earthquake, or you could choose to keep it at either way.
I'm not seeing a 10.56 as a section, it just means 10.55 and then it moves to 10.6.
Right.
So
As far as the concept of what he's stating, it's being stated here, are we fine with moving earthquakes or keeping earthquakes?
I'm not here nor
I think they need basic, and you said they're already in emergency management, right?
There's no hazard mitigation plan.
Or has something.
Yeah.
I would say, then, are we in agreement to remove it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in agreement to remove it.
okay.
Okay. I like it. I don't have the appendix C printed, so I don't follow this one, but
I've heard Will say that it was developed without transparency like 3 or 4 times now. What does he actually mean by
try to answer somebody else's question. It's a little difficult. It's not, I'm not in it.
that?
I mean, I was the vice chair, yes, but I wasn't the chair.
We did advertise the meeting.
They weren't private, were they?
No.
Okay.
They weren't advertised as an open public meeting because they didn't follow they didn't follow
Because of the staff. It was like a committee.
but they were open, anyone could ask
Yeah.
and join.
Yeah, and there were members that were on almost all the meetings, and some people that just kind of came and went.
And there were representatives from major employers were all there. You guys were there.
they were never invited.
They were never invited.
Nope. CPAT was a very closed team.
My understanding is that that's not true,
That's
and that
not true.
representatives of the major
Yeah.
employers
We were
invited.
never informed of it. We were never allowed to go. In fact, we were discouraged.
Well, it was why would the PAC members go to it was a drafting of the element, you're gonna be
Voting on.
reviewing it and voting on it, you shouldn't participate in the drafting of the element.
Okay.
It was not done in secret.
The representatives for the major employers were invited.
They were invited, and matter of fact, Sharifa reached out to individuals from I believe from Green Diamond, Sierra Pacific, and others. Taylor Shellfish.
That's interesting.
It's a little hard to word it because one cannot defend himself. Not here either. And can't substantiate one way or the other. I have my, my hunches based on other conversations, but technically hearsay.
I mean, I think we have staff that's telling us that
Yeah, no, I hear what you're
Okay.
saying. I'm just saying I can't. I have my hunches of different things, but it's against people saying things, which becomes hearsay. Meaning, I haven't taken the time to see is it accurate or not. And
Or
one way
are
or
you
the-
suggesting that what the staff is telling us might not be accurate?
He's not saying that.
I am not saying
Okay.
that.
Because it looks like it was developed with transparency, and it looks like they did include industry leaders that are relevant to our
I
county.
don't know. I've heard people say no, and I've heard people say yes. And both sides, a number of different sides. So I don't know. So I can't say this. I'm not saying that staff's not saying what happened. I'm just saying that it's interesting. I got a lot of different feedback from a lot of different people that go both ways.
As far as negative feedback, people who were saying that it was developed without transparency, was there anybody who attended who had that opinion? Do you know? Okay. So what we know is from the people who were there.
I know being around this county, for 30 some years, that I've seen a lot of things said, a lot of things be different. So I'll leave it at that. A whole lot of fronts. So some with intent, some not. Just didn't know. So I can't make a conclusion one way or the other. All I can do is listen, which is kind of what the PAC's all about. Listen. Okay, glossary. That's the last item which I saw go in. So I don't know if there's anything to discuss there.
So they added the terms that will on it.
So I don't know if they had all the terms. I didn't check, but I saw the glossary.
Okay.
And
I looked
an
at it.
acronym list went in there. Both. Okay. Now that we digested that, we want to take a break and then do the deliberations.
Well, shouldn't we elect a chair? Because right now you're the acting chair.
Right.
Well, anyway, you wanted to do a break, so.
We're comfortable to keep going.
You good?
Good. I'm good.
Okay. Okay, so.
What are we on to now?
Well, by the agenda, it's deliberations. But, Bob raises a good point. I'm only an acting chair. Question for staff. With me being an acting, is that sufficient or not sufficient?
I don't see a problem with it.
At some point, you're gonna have to elect a chair,
Okay, well,
We
Mr.
can
Chair.
add that to the October agenda. Or unless you want to do it tonight, I don't know if it has to be on the agenda.
Because this is
Elect
a
a chair.
continuation,
Yeah.
I would say it should
This
not
is
be
special.
tonight,
Yeah.
it would be October.
the meeting was only all one way, which kind of,
What do the bylaws say if the chair resigns? Bylaw.
There's nothing in
Sorry.
there, it does say that a new chair, we hold an election every January or into after January as we meet. And then the next chair would take over at that point. So we can wait until October, that's fine. And then we would have another election in January.
and because it's not, wasn't part of the agenda and not part of this meeting, we can't. But we should not go into that, huh?
Nothing prevents us, but that's
Okay.
okay. Do what you rather do, Mr. Chair.
Yes. But
You're the acting chair. I don't see why you can't.
okay, I'm moving right
Don't
along.
have the same
So,
rights. Whatever.
so next thing on the agenda is deliberations. So you've gone down through this. I can start with the spiel, but I'm gonna let members go through the spiel first.
Well, what are we deliberating on exactly?
The whole enchilada.
The whole enchilada?
Well, basically, the three, which I actually think there's actually four different outcomes. there are possible outcomes. One that I don't think I don't like. But basically, I wrote that also there's really where you could recommend the denial, but have a plan for the recommendations. You know, if we decide not to approve it, but here's recommendations. So anyway, we have 4 different outcomes possible. And you got 11 chapters. I'll give, you know, I can see sections, personally, I can see sections too that can be adopted and sections that are not ready prime time yet. My issue, one issue I have is we don't, or at least have not been presented with the plan of how the land use and the population work out and coincide with the capital facilities and utilities. So personally, I see a problem trying to recommend that when we got blanks or two to be determined. You've asked the question in the past, where is this better than the last one?
Yeah.
And I've stated that 1, the layout's better. 2, there's more, and I've also pointed out that because the layout's better, I can see some fallacies in the past, which I couldn't see necessarily before. The big concern I have is that there's a number of tables and figures that I would like to see supporting each other, and they're not. They have, I can itemize some of them, but stated a number of occasions, not synchronized, not tied together. You know, the bottom line is the whole plan I can't recommend personally because it has these gaps. But I see chapters I can recommend. I see chapters that I'm struggling with. And, you know, for example, in the element 8, the transportation, it covers a number of different things, but it too has and buried in the detail, a point that I've stated, that capital facilities have stated, that we, if our things don't have concurrency, is the best word to say, that you have to go back, or you need, if the county is going to do certain things and provide the funding and go after the funding or whatever, then you have to do some reconciling as to the land use and to the population and to these different things, different elements. And to me, we got a gap there. We haven't done it.
So you're saying that because there might be a value for one item and the value for that item is different in another chapter?
Well, yeah, you know, different, had the argument that, let's back up. We've approved the different sections, and it's kind of interesting that over time, as you put this data together into a big package, you might have supported something here, but when you put it all together, you say, oops, I got a fallacy, or I see a fallacy in the result. And so I've maintained, and we've had the discussion, gone through the process. We agreed what the housing was going to be. We've agreed what the density for housing is typically going to be, whether it's in the county or in the city, in the urban growth areas. These numbers are missing. They're there, but they're missing each other by big swaths. You know, 800 here, 1,000 there type. And well, you know, I've heard it stated, if, you know, when we produce a plan, it's not exact science. It's not exact. But you know, if we're not gonna get the numbers or get the numbers correct, why are we even, you know, creating the plan? Other than state requirement, funding, all these other aspects that to me, again, we got also go back to why are we here, you know, updating the plan? What is our purpose? Both to, you know, to the county itself, to the board, and what have you. And I personally don't feel that I'm doing my job recommending something if it's incomplete. I brought up in the last meeting, actually a couple of meetings, but especially last meeting, that under land use, there's the RCW that states what to do. We have not addressed any of it in the comp plan. There's a minor reference to it in the emergency mitigation plan, but I mean, it doesn't really address what's called out in the statute. In particular,
Can I ask you? Yeah, what in particular?
wildland fires.
So, that was included in the RCW. And then, so in 2024, the WUI was put on hold by SB 6120 until new maps illustrating wildfire risk hazard have been adopted by the state. So they put it in the RCW, and then a bill came out putting it on hold because they need to update risk mapping. So, and you already have a policy in the climate chapter that does talk about supporting the development of community wildfire protection. And then the RCW goes on to further explain that supporting that the WUI or the wildfire hazard risks that it outlines in the RCW can take the form of an ordinance adopting the WUI, or I believe it's building development requirements. So we're just not at that point yet. It's like they updated the RCW before.
Yeah,
You know.
they undid it because every jurisdiction in the state kind of got up in arms, and so anyway, they're redoing it. Our fire marshal is sitting on that board to help update maps, so it will get addressed, not at this time, and we're in state compliance with our land use under the guidance of Commerce from our early check-in.
Well, I mean, but wouldn't we include that, just what's been stated there, so that, in other words, wouldn't we put that, so to speak, chapter and verse, so to speak, into the
Placeholder.
as a placeholder in the comp plan?
You could suggest the language about. I'm fine with you suggesting language about that topic.
Okay, I don't have the verbiage right now, but
And we gotta get something done with that.
I mean, that's another thing you could highlight for the board, that they look into that and they make a determination on if they want to have staff draft something. I would work with my fire marshal on that.
okay.
So Larissa,
I think, well, time out here.
no, let me make my point. Let me make my point. No,
Point of order.
is there a,
Hey, I said a point of
isn't
order.
there a process to, by the state or
Mr.
somebody,
Chair?
to scrutinize to make sure everything is consistent with the RCWs?
Randy, we get a chance.
What's that?
You need a point of order.
Not before I start talking.
It doesn't matter when a point of order is brought up, debate stops until the point is satisfied. The point being is, Mr. Chair, you have the floor.
Okay, so
Well, my question was asked and answered, so I'm good. I don't think we should muzzle each other,
okay,
especially based on a technicality. Come on.
anyway, proceeding ahead. So in the county's mind, I mean, I can suggest the language, which I don't have it in my, and we have to have it tonight, right?
Correct.
I don't like that kind of situation. Okay. Got it. The next point is the capital facilities, even in our 3-page staff summary talks about the use, and I'll have to find it again, of guidelines. And I still maintain we failed to use the guidelines in capital facilities, even as a smaller county. And basically we have blanks. So I'm not hot for, I'm not inclined to pass anything dealing with the capital facility side. Even though I know you guys, here's a classic thing that's driving me nuts, okay? We go through a process of reviewing capital facilities, fine. It has its shortcomings, whatever. Fine. But then I just look at a report put out dealing with North Bay case inlet sewer, and I'm having trouble looking at the report and matching it to what we said what staff and the departments said they were going to do for 2026. Doesn't match. And so it's like we put these numbers down and we do something else.
Talking about like the wastewater storage capacity numbers.
No, this is dealing with just the expenses of construction and different things dealing with this North Bay Case Inlet. I'm not saying they're not needed, but they're not matching. I mean, seriously, they're not matching.
Can't respond.
No, I
have
do.
no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, you look at me like, okay,
Yeah, I just
tell me,
don't know
Jeff,
what you're-
tell me more.
Like, are these things that render the document unusable and non-functioning? Because this isn't supposed to be, the comprehensive plan isn't supposed to be a set in stone.
I agree, and I have no problem with that concept.
But you think that the inconsistencies that you see are major enough that it presents a problem?
Yes, and to me, they're very solvable. They're not hard things to do.
How do they get solved?
They just sit down and do it.
Who?
Personally, the different departments or wherever this gap of information. I mean, I'm not a genius, but some of this stuff, give me enough time, I could do. I know, I'm not offering a job. I don't want a job, okay? But I'm not, as I've stated to Public Works and others, I'm not after a perfect plan. I just want to know what we have. If we add this population to, take, for example, Allen, what are we going to need to do capital facilities wise? And I know that staff's working on a plan right now, but we don't have anything to support that. Now you ask, have we to date? No. Have we passed? Yes. But at what point, to me, it's like, well, if you have this ready, why are we even doing it? We're not going to do it. So anyway, I will get off my soapbox. That's my position right at the moment. Okay, next.
Mr. Chair. I am not comfortable with how the 2025 comprehensive plan has turned out. Not comfortable at all. I'm having difficulty signing my name into something I really don't believe in. I was not appointed to the PAC to be a rubber stamper. I don't like the fact an element was generated in secret that's unbalanced. That is, you didn't have industry input. I have little confidence the comprehensive plan will truly guide the county growth and development in the next 20 years. All our effort in the last 18 months will result in a shelved and unused book collecting dust somewhere. My tenure on the PAC in the last 4 years has been fun, but it ain't fun no more. I'm especially displeased with the last Friday's ambush of Will Harris. With this said, I resign from the PAC effective immediately. Auf Wiedersehen.
Interesting evening.
A little bit more exciting than I thought it would be.
Okay, so I got obviously his position. I guess.
Now we can't have figures and vote.
We do have a quorum, and the bylaws do state that the chair, this vice chair, would vote to make it,
Just say that.
Say that.
would be able to vote to make a quorum or break a
Oh, I got it, okay.
The bylaws also specifically state that it is the majority of a quorum present. So 3 votes will do it.
I think I remember Will saying that if there's a vote, he doesn't vote unless there's a tie.
So if there was a tie, if it was,
According to that vote, the three of us would vote. Not possible to have a tie, so.
As a relative newcomer, it's difficult for me to talk or to speak to anything for a lot of the comprehensive plan. But every time that a serious concern has been brought up, the response from staff has tamped down my reaction to some of these problems that have come up. And I would not hesitate to pass the comprehensive plan with the recommendations that we all agreed on tonight. And I think that's where I'm standing right now with this.
I agree with that. My understanding is staff's going to present this to the Board of Commissioners no matter what we do tonight.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, there should be more interaction between us and the board. And I talked to Kel beforehand. We're not going to present it to the board, but I do believe we should have meetings with staff, us, and the board to sharpen the pencil. So, and that's okay, right?
but definitely goes into some OPMA issues, but it is a public meeting through the.
Right.
You're
No, I don't.
welcome to come and talk to them.
Yeah, and when we break the board, we could also say that if you guys, vote to do that, we can see if they have a forum they want to do or whatever. I'd leave that up
Well,
to
my
them.
personal opinion is that I think the more interactive, the better. If you have some kind of a structure that restricts open communication, I don't know. You have an opinion on it? Sorry, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Well, certainly we can always take public comments at any of our board meetings where public comment is allowed. If that's what you're referring to.
Now I'm thinking of a separate meeting
Talking
where
about
we talk about our concerns. Staff can, they're the pros. They can give us information. You can ask questions.
we can do workshop type things.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, that'd be my preference.
That requires notification, and we have to put it out in public because we have to follow OPMA.
Oh, okay.
That's all we have. If you have more than one commissioner in a meeting, we have to follow.
Right.
OPMA. But that can be done. We just have to, we have timeframes in which we have to.
I get that. But yeah, my vote would be to pass it on. This is our current recommendation. We do have concerns. There's gaps. I personally would like to see the numbers be internally consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But let's pass it on. Keep the ball rolling. And I don't want to hand something to the board December 15th, and we got 2 weeks to. That's my vote.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
What I understood you saying though is a little bit different than what Randy's saying. Is being been on the board, 3 months, 4 months, whatever, and a crash course. What I hear you saying is what we went through tonight for these 36, 37 points, you're fine. I mean, you're fine. I think we all hammered it out. We're all fine. The question in my mind is, you know, personally, I'm good with sections, but I'm just not good with the whole damn thing.
But I don't think we're saying, I think it's okay to say, here's our current recommendation. We do have reservations and concerns, and we think the pencil ought to be sharpened going forward. But I think it's good for the board to start to get involved in it. It's their document. They're the ones that are going to present it to the state and all that. I wouldn't want to hold that process up. Yeah, if we pass it on, we're not saying it's perfect or it can't be changed beyond what we're sending. That
A question with regards to the vote, because you probably get an idea where I'm coming from. Everybody is. Question I have for staff is, if the commission agrees to pass it on, and I don't vote, or let me put this, I'm dissenting vote, okay? Is this gonna get can this get documented that way or not?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, because I'm not comfortable with it. And if I couldn't do that, I only have one option left.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the minutes will necessarily present, but definitely going before the board and all of that, it will be very clear that you are uncomfortable.
As long as it's in there.
Yeah.
Because if it's not, I'm gonna go nuke you.
I just don't know exactly the wording at this point in time.
Right, but it won't be the wording saying I affirm it.
Nope.
Okay, let's start with that.
I don't think any of us are affirming the whole thing.
Well, okay, but we need to spell that out if we're not in this, what we're presenting to the board.
So yes, we do need, I do want any of you to list your reservations or items that you think need additional work,
Okay,
if you have any.
and I do, but I'm letting the rest of the commission discuss.
I do not think that I have too many specific reservations there. Like I said, I'm probably the least familiar with the comprehensive plan out of the four of us. And I've had the least amount of time to explore it and familiarize myself with it. And so I don't really know. But I would vote to pass this along to the Board of County Commissioners as is with the work that we did tonight. And I think that's where I'm standing.
Thinking the best way to do it might be to go around, so I know Jeff has particular ones. We can note those. If anyone else has a particular one, we can note them separately, and then do a vote for a motion for approval with tonight's amendment with these reservations.
Nice.
Can you point out line items of what?
Well, I'll just have to take it chapter and verse, so to speak. First of all, I can support the issues, all the different items, policies we went through tonight. Okay, that's one thing. Element 3 and element 4, which are housing and land use, I have a problem with it if they don't mesh between dwelling units, population, and land use. Most of it right now is, I'll call it stats, meaning charts, tables, figures, that kind of thing. But there is some statements in there too, but the biggest piece is they don't match. Next thing. So which chapter is the capital facilities and utilities? Or I get with each
It's nine.
9. They're together, right?
Correct.
So 9, I have a problem with that you don't have the data to show, or it's not been presented what the plan is. Like when dealing with sewer, dealing with whatever in the capital facilities. So that has to be, in my mind, has to be addressed, because you haven't done the work to figure out, can I support this? Yes, we might have the land that you can build houses, if we have the capacity to do the sewer. We have the money, that's a whole other thing. But right now, just forgetting the money issue, it's not there. So,
Are those all your renderings?
let me make. And I'll say this, with 10, we solved a lot of issues. I'm just a little gun shy only because I don't feel that I've given it the same attention, because I've been focused on capital facilities, housing, land use, and what have you. And I'm gun shy about approving it because I haven't ground through it like I have the other elements. So that's where I am on those. And I'll leave it at that. But that's enough, at least, to give a framework for it, right? I mean,
I motion to approve the comp plan as presented with tonight's modifications, and also making note for the commissioners to review Jeff's reservations.
I'll second that.
any further discussion? Sure, there's more words.
It's nice that's good that you're documenting what the gaps are, what's incomplete, what's inaccurate. Yeah, I think that's in my opinion, passes through with reservations, with more issues. Here's the documented gaps, whatever. So we can sharpen the pencils and fill in the gaps, like inconsistent numbers. That doesn't seem like a hard quote fix. We go in, the number is consistent. Any projection is going to be wrong.
I'm not, I mean, I can debate those, but at least I have some framework.
Yeah.
There's no framework. I mean, it's just not there.
So what should we put in so there is a framework? Or is that something, you think it's unfixable?
No, it's fixable.
Okay.
I don't see a problem getting this fixed. It's just that I'm one person.
So are you okay with the motion as it was?
Well, it's been first and second. So
It's still in discussion.
So
are you okay with it as
Oh,
it
no.
is, or does it need to be modified?
no, but I'm not okay. But I can't modify it.
Right. Do I need to modify my motion?
I don't know how you do it.
You modify the motion.
No. I'm saying I don't know what you say.
Okay,
Put in
so
motion. Because
I understand.
that.
So are we?
No, I'll call for the question here in a second. I just want to make sure that
Okay.
discussion.
Yeah, we know where it comes
Okay.
from.
All those in favor?
All right.
And those against, I can't vote. So,
All right.
and we'll see where this goes.
So we're going to pass it on, go to the, say, with reservations, noting that, it just has some, real reservations. I'm paraphrasing. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I know.
I have a question for Mariah on the vote part, because she was really scouring the bylaws today and stuff. If we have a quorum of 4, does he vote or no?
Oh, that's a good point.
He wouldn't need to. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure, because I understood earlier that maybe you did need to vote. But
Right. And that's why I asked the question, because if I was going to go one way, I could do one thing.
Right. Okay. Got it.
If it wasn't going to get long, we were going to go.
No, we're
Okay, so I don't believe there's anything else to the meeting. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. If there's nothing else, staff.
Nothing.
I second that.
Motion.
Okay, moving second, there, Joe. Thank you.
I vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.